Well, here we go again, continuing our really fun, scary stories Halloween edition episodes for you this month. Welcome to another Scary Stories episode with the Wandering Crow.
There is a medicine story that tells of Crow's fascination with her own shadow. She kept looking at it, pecking at it until her shadow woke up and became alive. Then Crow's shadow ate her. Crow is dead Crow now. Join us as we attempt to look through the Wandering Crow's eye to find the gateway to the supernatural, to seek to know the unknowable mysteries of creation. Welcome to the Wandering Crow Podcast.
Welcome back, murderers and wanderers. It's Mandy.
This is Abby.
It's JT.
This is Cameron.
We wanted to come at you with stories right out of Louisiana legend. It's a place we haven't covered yet, but it is legendary for the type and variety of stories that just come out of it. The ghost stories. I looked for some good zombie stories, but couldn't really find any. Bunches of ghosts, lots of different kinds of cryptids, rituals and different things. So let's tell some stories and get ourselves in the holiday spirit.
Before we get too deep into it, social media.
If you like what we do, please like, subscribe, download, comment on, and leave a review. Please give us a 5-star rating. If you have a story and you want to share it, you can reach out to us on a variety of ways. We have our email on the website, which has links to all of our media. We have tons of social media links, all available in the show notes.
And now back to the show.
Well, I have a story. For those of you listening don't know, we do this on Riverside, and we all have our own little screens where we can see each other and react to each other's expressions, and we can give ourselves a name and a little explanation. So today I am the Ghost Pirate, but I don't speak ghost. Don't know why. So, the pirate, Jean Lafitte's restless spirit. Jean Lafitte, the infamous pirate who operated in the early 19th century, is a staple of Louisiana folklore. Before his death in 1823, in a skirmish at sea, Lafitte, if I'm saying that right, allegedly buried a massive treasure of gold, jewels, and Spanish doubloons in Destrehan near New Orleans to hide it from authorities. Unable to retrieve it in life, his ghost now roams the area, tormented by the inability to access his hoard. Some say he appears as a shadowy figure, pointing towards the burial site, hoping to guide treasure hunters. Others claim he haunts to scare them away, preserving the secret. Sightings include a spectral ship on Lake... Why are their names so weird in this state?
Because they're from France.
French Creole.
No.
Kooky French.
Guess what? We're French. We can say that.
Borgne. Somebody help me, please.
Borgne? I don't know.
Okay, everybody. Let's do this together because I think it's going to be fun.
Into today's word,
Borgne,
which means,
having only one eye or partially blind in one eye.
let's say it all together.
Borgne.
All together.
Borgne.
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 That's so fun.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us on
There we go. We learned how
Lovely.
to pronounce that word.
Okay.
You listen to it
Borgne.
enough, it sounds like Barney.
It does.
So sightings include a spectral ship on Lake Borgne.
Borgne.
And Lafitte himself wanders the Mississippi River levees at night, dressed in pirate garb with a glowing lantern. The story ties into his real role in the Battle of New Orleans in 1815, and modern accounts from locals and paranormal groups describe unexpected lights and whispers near old smuggling routes. Lafitte's spirit is also linked to the French Quarter, where he supposedly haunts bars like Lafitte's Blacksmith Shop and the oldest bar in America. So that's the story of Lafitte.
Did you get a read on what one of their most popular drinks is there?
I did not.
Purple drink.
Nice. That's just what it's called? Purple drink?
The bar's
Is it
famous signature drink, the Purple Drink, is an integral part of New Orleans nightlife.
What's in it?
I know
I'm gonna have to
that
look it up.
if you look at
Make
it
it.
on the street, it's like drugs, but
Nice story. I did receive an unusual amount of entertainment by all of us saying that word together. That was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. That was a good bonding moment.
That's funny.
Okay. Who else, Cameron, would like to tell a story right now? Cameron?
yes, who? I agree with your assertion that I'd be interested. Myrtle's Plantation in St. Francisville, often called one of America's most haunted houses. Visitors report of child voices, camera glitches, and famously smudged mirror. A long Reddit thread has multiple first-hand stays with detailed anecdotes, disembodied children giggling into photo anomalies. The thing is what I've heard about this is it actually had more to do with a woman that was a slave there.
I thought I had seen some kind of television documentary about it, and they had debunked the child ghost. I can't remember what show that was, though. It was very interesting. I actually really enjoyed watching it.
Chloe, or Cleo, an enslaved woman in the household of Judge Clark Woodruff and Sarah Woodruff. She was said to have been forced into being Woodruff's mistress, or at least have a position of sexual abuse. At some point, she allegedly eavesdropped on the family's conversations and was discovered and had one of her ears cut off as punishment. She is said to have worn a green turban and to cover it, and she is reportedly what you see as a smudge in the mirror. It'll often take the shape of her. As revenge for her ear being cut off, she baked the cake laced with oleander, a poisonous plant, for Sarah and her daughters. The legend usually claims that Mrs. Woodruff and the two children died after eating it, and that would be what the children giggling was.
Oh.
As punishment for the deaths of his wife and daughters, Chloe supposedly hanged by other enslaved people or by the family's slaves, and her body was thrown into the Mississippi River, weighed down with rocks, so that it wouldn't be found. After her death, her ghost is said to appear wearing the green turban, sometimes entirely, sometimes only the lower part of her body, or as a mist. People report seeing her walk the grounds, standing between buildings, and some say she lifts mosquito nettings from beds and peers into rooms. And so Chloe is what I know to be the more famous ghost there. You'll hear the giggling children, apparently that was debunked, the smudge on the mirror, and a lot of times if you're going there for provocation, you'll be talking to her. Like if you're addressing a ghost, it's usually her that you're talking to. She's got the most spiritual presence. There was a couple of ghost adventures. They went out that way, and they did a couple of pretty cool takes on that.
Cool.
Any thoughts on that? Anyone else know about that haunting?
This is the Myrtle Plantation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's an article in the National Geographic, My Louisiana Ghost Story by Andrew Evans, that the gentleman who wrote the article spent the night in the house, but he definitely had an experience. He was by himself. He changed and was getting ready for bed. Here's how he starts this part of the article. That's when I felt it, that really dreadful sensation of being watched by someone else. I felt coldness on the back of my neck and my spine tingled. I stared at my face in the mirror, but there was nothing else there, no apparitions or vague reflections. I left the room, then shut the glass-paneled bathroom door, certain that I was simply scaring myself. I sat down at the table, opened my laptop, and began answering email. It was 11:15, and the glow from my computer pulled me away from any fears and kept me focused on the mundane realities of our digital lives. At 11 o'clock, the noises started. Shh, 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 shh. A pair of feet shuffling across the bathroom floor. I turned towards the door I had just closed. It was still closed. The only entrance into the room. The noise repeated itself. A pair of feet shuffling across the floor, then stopping right at the other side of the bathroom door. My fingers froze on the keyboard and I tried to think rationally. Certainly, the sounds had come from someone walking and it was from inside the bathroom. Yes, I was scared. My mind went through all the other things that might be making the noise. Someone else entering the house, some very large wild animals scurrying about, but no. These had been feet pattering along the floor. That's when I crawled into the giant bed and took up my defensive position, armed pitifully with my cell phone and laptop. At midnight, I heard a loud thump upstairs, then another followed by another. Soon, there was clatter all about, dull thuds, a few bangs, followed by the sounds of someone, or many, walking around on the second floor. I remained frozen in my bed, tweeting my terror out into the great digital cloud. There are strange noises coming from upstairs. I was using Twitter to document the paranormal event that was unfolding around me. Yes, I was terrified. I hadn't taken the housekeeper seriously, and now it was nearly midnight and I was stuck in a giant bed in a giant mansion that had suddenly come alive with strange noises. No, they were not simply old house noises that houses make. There was no air conditioning or heat running. It was not simply the humid air turning cooler and the house settling back into its foundation, as many Twitter followers tried to explain to me. I was confident that I was the only person in the house, and yet sounds from upstairs had me convinced someone else was moving around up there. A few minutes later, I heard the sounds of someone running down the stairs. Whatever it was had joined me on the first floor. I stared around at the bedroom door, then reverted to Facebook chat for some kind of small comfort. I chatted with friends in different countries, explaining my dilemma, that I was wide awake in a house which was most likely haunted by a traumatized little girl, and that honestly, this was a kind of adventure on which I'd be happy to take a pass. Eventually, the footsteps went back up the stairs and the clatter intensified. I wanted to laugh but couldn't, as I read my Twitter friends arguing about the existence of ghosts. All the while I was listening to what sounded like bowling balls rolling around the floor above me and doors slamming shut.
Wow.
Jesus.
That's cool.
That would be really scary.
That is creepy.
That'd be
Really scary,
That'd be-
right?
yeah.
I have a couple stories from an evening we were there in March of 2019. It was actually my gift to myself for landing a job, because why wouldn't I want to go to a haunted place for that?
Obviously.
My mom and I took an evening tour. In the first room with the famous mirror that continuously smudges to look like the face even when it has been cleaned and polished, we were standing in the back corner right next to the closed door to the parlor. This is also next to the front door of the home with a large porch. We heard children giggling and talking quietly, and since there were no children on the tour, assumed that a family with children were outside the front door waiting for another tour, or just hanging out on the porch. As we left the room, we realized that no such family was there. So a few rooms later, we made it to the other side of the door, into the parlor. Our guide stopped her story abruptly and apologized. She said that the children are playing with her skirt and she needs to fix it. She then told us that the spirits of the children like to play in the parlor and love to mess with her dress. She said that their favorite spot was in the corner of the room by the door my mom and I had been standing on the other side of. We looked at each other and both had goosebumps. At the end of the tour, I looked at many of the photos I had taken, and for some reason there were multiples of each photo. Some there were 2, some 3 or 4. Only one was clear, and the other duplicates would be completely blurred. I even had a photo I didn't recognize taken. It was of the floor. When I asked the gift shop about it, the weird photos, they said that this was common. They said the spirits like to mess with cameras and may take extra pictures. So that's just a short one.
I think that was a good one. There's a lot of creepy elements to that
Yeah.
one. With JT's, I wanted to say there's a couple of paranormal caught on camera, some social media posts or whatever, where You can hear thumping, 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 either from upstairs or downstairs, and then all of a sudden, these disembodied like something's coming towards you up the stairs. And even though I'm not there, I freak out every time. Like, oh God, it's coming to get
You
me!
can feel it.
Shut the door! I don't know why that gets such a visceral reaction out of me every time. Oh, that's good. Good. Thank you for your stories, guys. Abby, did you want to tell a story?
Marie Laveau, she's already infamous as the voodoo queen, they call her, a voodoo priestess in New Orleans. But there was a grand revival of her reputation after American Horror Story did a whole season featuring her as a character, or a character based on her. I know I watched the season, but I don't remember. But I think that they actually did a character based on her. Anyway, point being, if you didn't see that, she was already famous, but if you know her from that, then okay. I've got one story. It's written by a medium. This is from VenicePsychic.com. The article is called Ghosts, Spirits, and a Visit from Marie Laveau. Years ago, I met with a new client who invited me for breakfast at her home. As she cooked banana pancakes and bacon, numb, I got a clear message for her from a spirit claiming to be Marie Laveau, who was New Orleans' most famous voodoo healer. "Tell her not to have the laser surgery," the spirit said. My mind raced. Was this really Marie Laveau? Sometimes tricksters come through, but this entity seemed benevolent. She's a medium, so she regularly comes in contact with spirits, so it's not a surprise to her that there's a spirit talking to her. But the fact that it may or may not be Marie Laveau is taking her aback. During breakfast, I debated passing on the message because its specificity might prove nonsensical to my client. I decided to tell her. Sure enough, she was debating having risky laser surgery. This client is a young African-American woman who I sense is very powerful psychically in her own right. I told her that Marie Laveau is, I believe, one of her guides stepping forward to help this young woman to develop her power. Ironically, about 4 years prior, while in New Orleans for an astrology conference, I had made a point to visit Marie Laveau's tomb to leave a little trinket for her. This client has since asked me to mentor her, which I consider an honor. Incidents like this make me so grateful that I have chosen this path. I love what I do. So that one was kind of...
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Then there's a hilarious one that I want to share with you guys. I find it good for a laugh. So this is a Reddit post from 1 year ago, it says, in the paranormal subreddit, under the heading, "The Spirit of Marie Laveau? Photo Evidence." All right, y'all. I'd love to get your opinion on this picture. Backstory. I was on a ghost tour with one of my friends in New Orleans. The last stop was Marie Laveau's house. While our guide was telling us about Marie's life, I kept feeling a pressure on my right shoulder, like someone was poking me in my shoulder from behind. I looked behind me, and there was no one close to me that would have been poking me without me catching their hands going to their sides. At the end of the tour, my friend came running over to me and showed me this picture. When we got back to my rental, we were looking at the picture and Googling images to compare. She thought the image in the picture. Okay, so her and her friend are freaking out because they think they see something. She thought that there was a man's face with snakes on his head in the window.
Okay.
But I want to share my screen with you guys and show you this picture.
So excited to see this.
Because, have you seen this? Okay, let me see. Can you guys see this? So I think what they're talking about is right here.
Oh, there's something. I don't know what it is, though.
They zoom in, and so you see this.
Oh, yeah.
And then they pull up this picture of Marie Laveau wearing, a headdress or like a sort of traditional African turban sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
I find this laughable. Somebody else points out that it's most likely a reflection of these embellishments from a building,
The crown molding.
across
Or
the
a
street.
light of some sort.
The part that's hilarious and laughable to me is, what the hell is this?
Yeah, that's the first thing I saw. That shadow.
How is this not the thing that they were freaking out about? This little shadow thing in
What?
the corner. How do I zoom in?
Well, unless they saw a person. Like, because they took these pictures, right? And they're not talking about the girl in the pink. They're talking about that thing in the window.
Maybe, but you
So
can
maybe.
see the difference. Like, here's a person that's blurred. It's so very, very solid here. Yeah, if this was a blurred person, like, how is it so much more apparition-y looking?
Yeah.
Smoke or just shadow. We definitely need to share this on YouTube as just a short for this story, because that I was like,
That is-
what?
It's weirdly
This is
hunched
a
over
joke,
for
right?
like a person. Like if it's a person, it's standing in a really weird way.
Yeah, it's got
like
like that
all-
Cocapelli. It's got a
Yeah.
Cocapelli look to it. It's
Mhm.
very hunchback and very shadowy apparition. I respect Cameron's thought though, because you're right. If you took the picture, you're like, I know exactly what that was because I remember something happening. I guess it could be a shadow from something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think it's funny that they didn't want to point to that in the picture, but they're pointing to this, which I see nothing. I see nothing worth a darn in this reflection, but this shadow to me, I'm like, okay.
Can you go back to that zoomed in
Yeah.
version?
Like, do you guys see anything of that looks?
I could almost see, like, the gutter.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
here.
so I think you're
There's
right.
a gutter from my house across the
Mhm.
street.
I mean, there's nothing else in the reflection. I mean, there's these little bells. And I'm good at seeing faces.
I just don't see anything there.
I mean-
I see nothing. So
I don't see that. I
what the
mean-
heck are you talking about? But I see this blur over here that looks like a
They
freaking
think it's
ghost
a
in a
guy
picture.
with snakes on his head. I don't see
No.
I definitely don't see snakes. I don't know what they're talking
that.
about.
No.
But anyway, so she felt somebody poking her, which that's an interesting aspect of the story, that as they're passing by this house, somebody's poking her. So I think they really just wanted to find something in this photo, but it's just,
You know what? I think I know what it is. Do you see these things underneath the eave of the roof?
oh,
Yeah.
the little supports.
Yeah, if you go to the zoomed in thing, I wonder if it's that. It's just because I was like, that angle is so weird though. I wonder if it's one of those and it's just slightly distorted
Yeah.
because of the
Probably.
like the
I mean, it's
reflection
some-
angle.
Well, like
sort of
she said,
ornate-
it's probably across the street.
Carving
Yeah,
off of
no, for
some other
sure, I
building
agree.
that is similar
Yeah.
to this sort of architecture style.
Yeah.
And for the record, this isn't Marie Laveau's original home. You know, a lot of people say, well, it shouldn't be haunted because her home was knocked down, but they just rebuilt this home on her foundation of where she lived. So that's kind of a gray area anyway, depending on how you believe in it.
I thought part of the lore of Marie Laveau was that she actually is a spirit who has the run of New Orleans. I thought that she could be seen in a lot of different places.
I think a lot of people do. You know, the really interesting thing about her life story that I found out in her history is that she was both a devout Catholic and practiced her voodoo healing, and at least pretended or feigned to be or charged people as a medium. And whether or not she had that power or not, I don't know if that's real, but she was known for very, very cleverly obtaining information from wealthy, well-to-do women from their slaves to use that information to gain favor with the more wealthy women and to get their business, I suppose, and to get them believing in her and to help build her reputation even further. But as she was dying, and I don't know for how long, and again, I don't know how credible this is, I read that she stepped away from her voodoo healing and really delved into Catholicism and became a heavily devout Catholic toward the last years of her life.
Interesting.
That almost makes me wonder if she was like, okay, I really want to I'm going to go ahead and go to heaven when I die, and I'm going to just do this now. I don't know. I don't know what the mindset was there in doing that, but that's kind of where my brain went in thinking about what was her strategy.
I have an excellent New Orleans theory about that.
Okay.
That ties in with one of my stories.
Okay.
Oh, that was like a perfect segue.
Segue.
Okay. All right. I am secretly a grunch, as some of you might be able to see on the screen, but most of you probably cannot. And what is a grunch, you might be asking?
What is a grunch?
What is a grunch? The Grunch Road Monster is an alleged chupacabra sighting in New Orleans. And not just sighting, it's been seen many times. The Grunch is described as being an elaborate cross between the canid and reptilian chupacabras. New Orleans residents have named the creature the Grunch, but unlike its cousins, sightings and tales seem to go back further in Louisiana history than in other areas of the world. The Grunch story supposedly goes back to the Crescent City's early roots. An old voodoo hoodoo story says Marie Laveau castrated the devil baby when he was born to stop him from producing more of his evil kind. The bloody testicles allegedly turned into a male and a female grunch upon falling to the floor. Whereupon they attacked the great voodoo queen, Marie Laveau. The grunches are said to have almost killed her with their fierce bites and punching. The terror the old voodoo queen felt must have been unbearable as she struggled under their great strength before she fainted. When she awoke, the grunches and the devil baby were gone. Laveau was near death after this, and many have said this is when Marie Laveau gave up her voodoo hoodoo ways and went back to being a good Catholic woman.
Huh.
That is one crazy set of balls.
So, I mean,
Well done, JT.
yeah.
Nice.
The thing that caught my attention about that was the good Catholic woman part. Like, your bias is showing.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
God.
Ooh, how dare you be a voodoo person?
Right.
That's not a good
and
religion.
And the reality of the matter is the two things were married and mingled together pretty regularly in the culture, and there wasn't necessarily anything seen as being wrong with voodoo practitioners.
No, and there's not.
At the time.
Currently, there's not. There's not.
Right.
It's just another religion. People are just weirdly biased. Here
So,
is,
Mandy, are you saying that you secretly have grown from a testicle?
I am descended.
That's the moral.
JT. He's turning red,
Nice.
everyone. He can't breathe.
Nice.
He's laughing
He's on
so
fire.
hard.
It was so good. Come on. It was so good. It was just hanging out there. Like,
Just hanging out.
it was just hanging out.
Just hanging out. Cameron caught it.
Nice.
Okay, so there's another account. So the Grunch is actually a well-known cryptid within Louisiana. So much so that there is a personal account from Reddit. This was written by user Ghost Rougarou on Reddit. Growing up in South Louisiana, I have always heard stories about the Grunch. My mom would tell me how that when they were younger, in the 1970s, to scare themselves for free late-night excitement, they would slowly ride down Grunch Road. And this was the Evangeline Road in Mons, Louisiana. And the goal was that when you would reach the railroad track crossing, you have to turn the car off, honk the horn 3 times, then the true test of will was to get out and run around the vehicle 3 times. Legend says that if you do, the Grunch would appear. According to my mom, the Grunch was a pan-like creature with goat legs and feet, a humanoid body, and some say a human head where others say a goat-like head. Needless to say, she never saw the Grunch because no matter how many times they went out there, they would always be too terrified to complete the railroad crossing ritual. Getting out of the car was just too terrifying, and by the time they would shut off the engine and honk the horn 3 times, not one soul in the vehicle wanted to exit. So they would start the car and leave in quick, fast hurry. So that's kind of the personal account from their mom telling you. There is actually one more. There's some modern sightings. And this is from Cryptid Wiki. Although evidence for the Grunch Road being haunted by this beast is anecdotal, it is interesting to find an old tale that has its reflections in a more recent sighting. A Harvey, Louisiana lady said she saw one eating one of her neighbor's dogs. Additionally, sanitation workers tell of seeing them raid the garbage cans or chase the garbage trucks along New Orleans' East Haine Boulevard and in the Grunch Road area. The Grunch/El Chupacabra is said to haunt many areas in New Orleans and surrounding parishes: Lakeview, Metairie, Chalmette, Harvey, Tarrytown, Slidell, Covington, and Paradis. All these areas' residents have a Grunch story or two to tell. They are said to live in the darkest parts of New Orleans City Park's golf course and have been seen running in the tall grass and along the levees of Chalmette National Battlefield. In the Paradis, Lulling and Butte, Louisiana area, many say late at night you can see them running across Highway 90 looking for something, or someone, to eat. Lakeview residents nowadays tell of how they no longer leave their pets in the yard since Hurricane Katrina, as so many Grunches were displaced into the neighborhood. In my Harvey, Louisiana home, many people tell of seeing them knocking over trash cans and chasing cats to drink their blood. People at first thought they were rabid or mangy, hairless raccoons. So that's the Grunch, guys.
Wow.
And apparently there's 3 different Grunch roads, which has caused some confusion, I guess. But this is like a Nolans. This is a Nolans monster.
Okay.
Nowlands.
Nolans.
So nobody looked up the connections to the Annabelle doll to Louisiana?
I did not. I have a bunch of ghost
No.
stories, and I have another cryptid.
There basically wasn't a huge connection other than and what was the name of that plantation? I've already forgotten now.
It was the Nottoway plantation that burned down.
And around the same time, the Warren Museum was taking some things around on tour, specifically that Annabelle doll was on a national tour, which I don't even know what that means. I guess they would take it to places and people could go visit wherever the
Look
hell
at
it was
it.
at and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was on tour at the time that museum burned down was somewhere in the vicinity of Louisiana, within the state boundaries, right?
Yeah, it was like within 2 hours road trip from where the Annabelle doll was.
Which to me is not that close. Like I say, it was in the same state. I don't even know how that little rumor got started, but it was a fun little thing that people really got into for a minute. Oh, the plantation burned down and it was the cursed doll Annabelle. And then people being able to get into the history of the Annabelle doll and her weird backstory, which is completely unrelated to the backstory of the plantation. Mandy and I made Instagram reels about it, and yours was more than anything about the history of the Annabelle doll. And I don't necessarily remember what your conclusion or speculation was about whether or not she was involved.
I felt like it was a little bit unlikely. The spirit trapped within the doll is said to be a very powerful demon, and there are a lot of spiritual protections which are said to be in place that contain this demon. And part of my question is, why would this doll be motivated to travel so far for a thing that's really not related to it and it has no dealings with it? Why would it do that and then cause this building to burn down? Like, what's in it for the demon?
It was in a spiritual box that had many protections. They've actually moved it since, and it's owned by a comedian now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's still in the box. It's protected. It's still in the museum.
Yeah.
Right.
No, they moved it. They switched the box.
Oh.
And they did a tour and took it out of the original box to do the tour. And that owner died. Yeah, he handled it with gloves and was told to be quick about it, but he kind of jostled it a little bit and didn't put it in the new box right away. That's what they're saying, is that's what did it.
Do you think Annabelle did it?
I mean, what's the coincidence that he died shortly after the tour?
But do you think that she burned down the plantation?
No, I don't think so.
So first, they enter Louisiana. Then, 5 to 8 prisoners escape from a local jail in that area. And they're like, Annabelle did it! The doll did it! That was the first thing that the doll got blamed on. Then the next day or 2 days later, then the plantation burned down. And both of those events, the prisoners were a little bit closer. but the plantation was hours away from where the doll was. My speculation was, I don't see why this doll would particularly target that specific place. There's a lot of other things, like that would require a lot of energy, and there would need to be some kind of connection. Like, how does it just get there without its tether? The doll is its tether.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I could think is if there was a practitioner or someone who knew how to talk the talk and knew how to communicate spiritually with a creature like that, potentially maybe that person requested the demon to do it and they set the target. And I think that potentially could be possible, especially if the protections were not as strong as I believed, as I assumed. Then maybe I could see that working, where someone asked the creature inside of the doll, I would like your help. I would like this building destroyed. I would like these prisoners released. And then maybe the doll would target those if the price was right. You know, if the exchange was good for the doll's sake. The guy who died, I want to just be very sensitive about this. There was a lot of chatter on various social media platforms of a lot of people saying the doll did it, he died from the doll. And then there was a lot of backlash of people who were like, you guys are assholes. How dare you be trying to profit off of this guy's death? A person literally died. Can we just stop with the conspiracy theories and stop trying to monetize off of this? So there was a lot of heated anger, and to my knowledge, they never really released what his cause of death was.
Yes, they
and
have.
It was later. He was in another state. What happened?
So Dan Rivera, he was the handler of the doll.
Mm-hmm. And he'd worked with it for like a decade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to Adams County Coroner, which is Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, his official cause of death was cardiac related. And he had a history of cardiac issues, which were consistent with the findings of his death.
Yeah.
I can't find any confirmation that the doll was taken out of her case. What I can find is confirmation that they did a publicity stunt claiming that she had escaped from her case.
Oh, I do remember that.
The Devils on the Run tour, which is what the tour was called.
Like for a couple of days, supposedly she was missing. I do remember that.
Right. Yeah. And then they confirmed later that, like, no, that wasn't real. that was just to get, people paying attention because we were going on tour and trying to sell tickets. Where'd you find that, Cameron? Where'd you hear that?
I saw a video of him moving it with big, welding gloves.
Oh.
But let me see if I can find that now.
Okay.
I don't think welding gloves are going to protect you from the paranormal. I just not. Unless they were blessed or.
Yeah, some sort of spiritual empowerment was done.
Holy water on it, or I don't know. I mean, it's.
The Annabelle doll is actually kind of a fun story. I think it's all nonsense.
I never saw The Conjuring, so I don't know. I don't know much about this doll, but it's just a Raggedy Ann doll. Come on. Oh, here it is.
Well, it's just a very short clip.
Yeah, a very short clip of opening the case. And
so the people in this video are Tony Spera and Dan Rivera.
Yeah, Dan Rivera is the guy that handled her.
So Tony Spera is holding holy water and saying things, and
then it got moved to the other one. And
so if they moved it from the original case and were touring in a different case, that could lead to a potential that, yes, when this doll came to Louisiana, it released those 5 prisoners and it burned down that house.
But how? And did it pick it by themselves? Did it pick those targets on its own? And why?
Don't know.
What?
There was a string of mysterious events that happened around the doll while it was on tour.
Like what? I only ever heard about those 2 events. And, 3 events, that the poor guy dying.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's a whole another research.
I feel like we talked too much about the doll. Technically, we didn't even give enough context about the doll to really explain why anybody would believe that it could have done any of these things.
The context of the doll is it was a gift to, I want to say she was a nurse or something, some lady. It was a gift. And there's strange activity started happening around the house.
And what initially happened was that it started to move. It would be in places that they didn't put it. It would have like drawing on the walls and stuff like that. Very childish things.
And then a medium came and started working with the spirit and was like, oh, this is the ghost of a little girl named Annabelle. And they're like, oh, how sweet. And they like interacted with it more because they thought it was an innocent child.
It was after they decided to keep it and they invited it into their home that things started to get a little bit more menacing. And that's when Ed and Lorraine decided to take interest. And they, being staunchly Christian, thought anything like this that sticks to objects is a demon.
Is a demon and causes harm like that.
And causes harm eventually.
And all the Conjuring movies are based on them, and they're going into homes and trying to clean them.
Yeah.
There's a number of movies that are based on what they did.
Supposedly. And Lorraine claimed to be a very powerful psychic and medium. And I don't know how well it was tested, but people really believed her. So she must have been something. There must have been something there because people really felt she was the legit kind of deal. Like she was the real deal.
They were called to super intense hauntings, as I understand.
Yeah. So she was brought in and she finally had a reading of this doll and said that Annabelle thing was just a trick. It's a gimmick. Just like Cameron said, she believed anything that wasn't godly was therefore a demon. And she said, this is actually a demon in disguise. This is not a ghost. And they did some kind of ceremony or whatever, I don't know, some cleansing of it. And they took it. And what they did was they would take possessions of these demonic objects or these haunted objects and store them away in a protected way. So they would have special boxes. They would do ceremonies. They would have priests come and bless the room very frequently. And in order to make sure that these spirits were trapped where they were. And eventually they accumulated so many objects that it was museum worthy. And when they died, all of those objects had to go somewhere, and it became the Ed and Lorraine Warren Museum. I don't know what it's actually called, but it was like their museum of all of the objects they had collected.
And that's what's been touring around with the Annabelle doll too. Like all those objects have been touring with them, haven't they?
I don't know how many. Annabelle was certainly featured. I don't know what else went on that tour.
But I think other objects as well. So who's to say it wasn't Annabelle, but one of those other objects?
Yeah.
So how do we go from, we think it's a little girl, okay, oh, well, now it's a little bit scarier, a little darker than that, perhaps. Okay, now this woman's saying that it's evil, even though it hasn't necessarily done anything particularly menacing. And now we think it burned down a freaking plantation and killed a guy. That's just a lot. That's a big leap.
So this is according to an AI overview. After the medium said it was this little girl, Annabelle, and it felt comfortable with the nurse and just wanted to be loved, stuff started to get crazy. Lou, who was a friend of the nurse, apparently had always hated the doll and didn't trust it. According to the story, he was attacked by the doll, which left bloody claw marks on his chest. The nurses realized the entity was not as innocent as they were led to believe, and that's when they called the Warrens.
That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. And they said it was an inhuman spirit or a demon which had preyed on the woman's sympathies. And that it didn't want to stay in the doll, but it wanted to possess a human host. And that's it. That's what happened.
Okay. So there you go, listener. So that's the connection between the Annabelle doll and Louisiana and this plantation fire.
So I've got a voodoo story.
Ooh.
Sort of. Not really, but sort of. There's the Gothic jail of De Ridder, built in 1915, nicknamed the Hanging Jail. The spirits of executed criminals and notorious voodoo practitioners linger. The most famous tale involves Tony Joe Henry. Tony Joe Henry. Actually a woman. And she was the first woman executed in the electric chair in 1942. Convicted of murdering a man during a robbery in Lake Charles. Her trials made her a media sensation, and her ghost is blamed for flickering lights, turning on electrical equipment, and whispering to guards in the empty cells. Another story centers around two men, Joe, Jenna, and Moulton Brasero. They were hanged in 1928 for killing their taxi driver, Joe Breville, and dumping his body in a mill pond. Their restless spirits caused banging doors and chattery figures in the jail's corridors. Nearby voodoo rituals from enslaved people on local plantation echo in reports of chanting and tapping sounds captured during a 2009 Ghost Adventures investigation at a plantation near the jail. And the jail is now a museum. And a lot of visitors report sudden temperature drops and apparitions of hanged figures swaying from the rafters. So that doesn't really have anything to do with voodoo.
No, but it was good.
Sorry.
That's creepy.
Sorry.
Ooh.
Anybody else got stories? Do you have any more stories, Cameron?
Yeah, Cameron.
I have a possession story that allegedly took place at the
Ooh.
Bourbon Hotel.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. My story takes place in 2018. Picture it. New Orleans during Halloween or Cré Début season. My parents and I were there to celebrate a birthday, my father's, and attend a healthcare conference to present research. We decided to stay at the Hotel Monteleone, located in the French Quarter, because that's where the conference was taking place. Little did I know, it was also known for being haunted. As a psychic medium, I was fully prepared to have many paranormal experiences, but I was not prepared for what happened to both of my parents soon after we arrived. On the first night of our arrival, my parents had to stay in my hotel room because their room was double booked. That night I woke up around 2 a.m. to find my father sitting up in his bed across from mine. There was a thin, androgynous, 8-foot-tall being touching his leg. I watched for a few minutes. My dad laid back down and the benevolent being disappeared. The next day I asked my dad about it, and he said he was visited by an alien being who told him he was being healed of his sciatica pain. Indeed, his pain had disappeared for months and months. Can I just say, you have an 8-foot-tall being standing over your father, and he's sitting upright. It disappears, and he lays down, and you don't wake him up and talk to him right then? That's all right. 4 days later, my parents are now staying in their room. On the last morning of our stay, my father rings me to come to their room. I get there and see that they are both anxious and bewildered. My father then proceeds to tell me that he knows my mother was possessed by a spirit the night before who kept insisting that she jumped from the window in her room. My dad stated that around 3 a.m. the night before, my mother woke him up to tell him to hold her hands and to not let her go. My father thought my mother was having a stroke because her face looked faded somehow. She was there but not, he said. His intuition told him to keep guard. My mother recounted that she felt when a young woman entered her body, but pushed past her to ask my father to hold her hands until the morning came. She said the woman kept asking her to go to the window and jump. My mother said all she could do was pray for protection. She said she focused on my dad and asked the spirit to leave. We left New Orleans a little shaken, but okay. When I got back home, I reached out to the hotel and spoke to the manager about the incident. He informed me that he had worked there for 5 years, and I was the third person he spoke to who had had this experience. He validated that there was a story that a young woman had jumped to her death from that room after being jilted by a lover. I sure do wish they had disclosed that information prior to me booking that room.
Yeah.
Now I know better. I ask before I book.
I'm going to book a room. Is your hotel haunted?
Yeah, did somebody leap to their death before I book this room?
Do you have any wandering aliens who heal people mysteriously of their ailments?
They never went back to the androgynous 8-foot-tall being. That's just a side note.
He healed
It
his
happened.
sciatica pain, so can I get that guy to come visit me and heal some of my pain? That'd be
Yeah,
great.
no, I'm a psychic, so I totally expected this to happen. 8 foot tall, dark entity just touched my dad, and he laid back down. That was in my room, and I didn't wake him up.
And I never worried
It's
about it
okay.
again.
And then they went to their room, and my mom tried to kill herself.
Yep.
It's
That's
yep,
a day in the
that's
life.
just another vacation.
That was a good one. I liked that one, Cameron. That was a good story.
I've got The Highway of Horrors.
Ooh.
Bayou Sail Road, known officially as LA57, twists through vast swampland between Duloc and Cocodrie. This desolate stretch of asphalt has earned a sinister reputation as one of America's most haunted highways. The road's dangerous curves have claimed many lives over the years, perhaps explaining the abundance of spirits said to manifest along its path. Most notorious is the tale of a mysterious hitchhiker who, once picked up, refuses to exit the vehicle until the driver surrenders something valuable or their very soul. Witnesses describe the hitchhiker as having a translucent appearance, sometimes vanishing entirely before even entering the car. Other drivers report encountering a ghostly woman with an outstretched hand, pleading for assistance. Disembodied faces materializing in the darkness, and an overwhelming presence that makes their skin crawl with primal dread. Locals warn never to stop along Bayou Sail Road after nightfall, no matter what or who you might see.
I think we would be remiss not to tell any stories of vampires.
Oh, do you have a vampire story?
I got the vampire story.
Let's hear it.
Jacques Saint Germain, the immortal aristocrat. Arriving in New Orleans around 1902 from France, Jacques Saint Germain was a charismatic, wealthy bachelor who lived in a lavish Royal Street mansion in the French Quarter. He hosted extravagant parties, regaling guests with detailed stories of historical events from centuries past, as if he'd witnessed them firsthand, and served peculiar wines that tasted oddly metallic. Women were drawn to his eternal youth and charm, but tales of horror soon emerged. One infamous incident, a young woman attending his soiree, only to flee screaming from his balcony after he allegedly bit her neck and tried to drain her blood. She jumped to the street below, blood streaming from puncture wounds, and died in Charity Hospital before identifying him fully. When police raided his home, they found bloodstains on the floors, women's clothing strewn about, and bottles filled not with wine, but human blood.
Oof.
Saint Germain had vanished without a trace. The legend ties him to the historical Comte de Saint Germain, an 18th century European mystic and alchemist rumored to be immortal who allegedly fled to Louisiana under the alias Jacques to continue his eternal life. Sightings of the unchanged Saint Germain persist in New Orleans lore, with locals claiming he's still spotted in the quarter, luring victims. His former residence is now a tourist spot, and the tale inspired cocktails like the Vampire's Kiss at local bars. We're just going to have a cocktail night, aren't we, with all these different cocktails?
Yeah.
I'll bring the purple drink.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm into it. Let's go.
You know, though, that vampire story, I think it's the same one. He will show up to you on misty nights and ask if you have a light. And you're supposed to give him a light, like a lighter, or you disappear.
Because he
Oh.
eats you?
Yeah, it's recommended that you carry a lighter with you, even if you don't smoke.
All right. Well, we're going to have to remember that when we go there someday.
Well, maybe he sucks your blood and then the grunches eat your body.
Yeah. Did you guys want to hear the story of the Rougarou?
Oh,
Yeah.
Some of this I'm getting from pelicanstateofmind.com, just so we give credit, because I'm going to read word for word some of what they've got here. History of the Rougarou, Louisiana's werewolf. The full moon hangs high over the Louisiana swampland. The bright lights of the stars flicker in the murky licks of the waves near the towering, ominous cypress trees. Frogs croak their songs in the distance, and mosquitoes buzz as they fly around looking for the next meal. There is a howl in the near distance. It sounds like a wolf, but something's a little off. Standing on two legs on top of a fallen, moss-covered tree is a large, snarling beast. It throws its head back, letting out a blood-curdling howl to the moon. That's no werewolf, though. That's what we in Louisiana call the rougarou share. So the rougarou, I guess initially in medieval France, was called the loup-garou, Loup-garou, which was a kind of werewolf-type creature. And as a lot of French emigrated to the United States and Louisiana, and there was blending of cultures, the Cajuns ended up calling it eventually the rougarou. So here is a story from a person who says, the rougarou story I grew up with, plus historical background info. This person is user UKC Calamity from Reddit. As a young child, in the care of my maternal grandmother, we were often told many Cajun legends to warn us not to wander too far from the care of our ancestral homes. My maternal grandmother was known to us by her Cajun French title, Ma Mère, followed by her middle name, Agnes. One of the many tales of warning told to me and my cousins was that of the rougarou. This is a tale often told when we went to the camp. For the adults, this was an opportunity to drink, kick back, relax, hunt, and fish. For the kids, this was a chance to play in the marsh, swim in the bayou, tell stories, scare your cousins, ride in the boat, and if you were really lucky, one of your drunk uncles would let you shoot their gun. It was a wild time. I'm pretty sure the first time I shot a gun was at the camp when I was about 6 years old, now that I think back on it.
America.
Yeah.
I love it.
It doesn't sound too far off. In order to get to the camp, you had to travel by boat. You'd ride in the car or truck to the boat launch, load up the boat with everything you need, and head on down to the bayou. For ma mère, this included a jar of dirt. For the life of me at the time, I didn't know why she needed to bring a jar of dirt with her to the camp. I didn't know until much later in life that ma mère carried a grave dirt with her, a ritual from several different practices, including voodoo and Wiccan, as a means of protection. As far as I knew, and still know to this day, ma mère was a practicing Catholic and did not dabble in the arts. In fact, she strictly forbid this. The rougarou lives in the swamplands of Louisiana. This shape-shifting creature is similar to that of a werewolf. It has the body of a man and the head of a wolf. It differs from a werewolf because it does not require a full moon to turn. The monster is always within the man, and it emerges when feeding is necessary. When the call reaches for the monster, he turns. The Roo roams the swamps in search of children who have wandered away from their parents. Furthermore, he knows which children are willful and disobedient and will come in the night to snatch them in their beds. The story originated in the swamplands, marshy areas, and surrounding fishing communities located near these areas, and was meant to keep children from wandering into the swamps and boggy marshes. As losses of habitat became a problem, the story of the Roo changed, and he and his kind became able to leave the marshy swamps to look for more prey. There are now projects in place to restore the marshes, so perhaps the Roo will return to their homes. There is one rougarou story that originates back to Catholicism, and I wonder if this is where ma mère got her story and combined it with the other Roo stories she had heard. This story is about a Roo that would eat children who would not keep the promises made during Lent. Catholicism is pretty common in southern Louisiana, especially in the areas where Mardi Gras is celebrated. Mardi Gras is observed on the day immediately prior to Lent, which begins on Ash Wednesday and ends on Easter Sunday, making it 40 days long. This is supposed to be a time of fasting, and people typically give something up during Lent to represent the 40 days that Jesus fasted in the desert. In this version of the rougarou story, when the children falter and fail to keep their Lent fasting promises, the Rue comes and eats them as punishment for their lack of dedication to their faith. So whether you're misbehaving, wandering where you shouldn't be, eating meat on Fridays during Lent, or who knows what else, you better watch out, 'cause the Rue gon' get you.
Wow.
Yeah. What's the story?
Eat meat and get eaten.
Yeah.
I saw but can't find somebody on Reddit cast a net out saying, hey, what are some like fun, lesser known legends in Louisiana? And the Rougarou came up, and one person's particular account was very brief and just that, oh, you know, if we were bad, my grandma used to just shove us kids in the laundry room and tell us the Rougarou was coming. And we would just like freak out and cry, you know, and then all the other people responding were like, wow, that is abuse. It's like psychological abuse at its best. So good.
I mean, that pretty much sums up our childhood. I remember
just
that.
Be good or else the
It's-
things will get you. That's everybody's childhood. That's what these stories are for.
The thing is gonna get you. Aye. Remember that shit?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a good thing you didn't grow up in New Orleans, Cameron. You might have got eaten.
Cameron would have been fine. He's one of them.
I make friends with them. Are you kidding? It's not against my faith.
What were we saying, Abby?
There's another one. There's numerous stories in Louisiana that seem like their purpose is to kind of help tap children in line.
Yeah, that sounds right. Honestly, I believe it.
Let's see. The Children of the Swamp. Did somebody read the Latish and the Lutens?
No, what's that?
This is from WeirdDarkness.com. Perhaps the most heartbreaking Bayou legends are the spectral children known as the Latish and the Lutens. According to Cajun folklore, they're the spirits of unbaptized infants who were denied entrance to heaven and condemned to wander the swamps eternally. So to me, that sounds like a, you know, go to church, y'all, baptize your babies.
Are
Or
they
else.
saying that those swamps are purgatory? Because that's like the same thing. Like the unbaptized children would be in purgatory forever.
There's an allusion here that it might be influenced by a former Native American version. Let's see. Some Native American influence versions, and again, this could be nonsense because I haven't verified if this is true, claim Latish were once human children who became separated from their families and were raised by alligators, evolving into amphibious beings. The creatures allegedly delight in capsizing the boats of travelers who venture too deep into their territory. So there's the Latish and the Lutens, and so there's the version of Cajun folklore where they're unbaptized infants, but there's a Native American version where they are amphibious alligator babies. So anyway, there's some blurring here where it clearly has evolved into new stories.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't like the part where we're saying that innocent babies don't get to go to heaven because that's garbage, but I like the rest of the
Louisiana,
story.
y'all.
Yo.
Obviously, that's the Catholics coming in or whoever
Yeah.
taking over. It's the classic story of colonization, like turning their own legend and lore into stuff to help wrangle them into assimilating to their religion.
Yuck. All
Classic.
right. Well, this was very fun. I liked
Yeah.
this. I love these kinds of episodes.
Louisiana has it all.
Yeah, it does.
Ghost stories, cryptids,
Yep.
aliens.
Remember to carry your lighters.
Werewolves, vampires. I mean,
Mm.
you want to get something paranormal, you just go to Louisiana and just hang out.
That's right.
There's weird cults in Louisiana too.
Oh yeah.
We should do a more like a deeper dive on some of these.
Just the Louisiana culture and history.
And really give Louisiana the true attention it deserves, because we really just
Mhm.
told stories. We didn't actually get into
Yeah.
the culture.
We just wanted
Louisiana's
stories this
fascinating.
time.
Fascinating.
We're gonna have to go to Louisiana to do that.
Mhm.
Down.
I think,
You know,
yeah. Let's figure it out.
try some of these drinks. You know.
Yep,
Good.
it's on the list.
Friends, let's wrap it up. Such a fun episode. I hope that you enjoyed this. Next week is Halloween, and we will be giving you scary abduction stories, alien abductions, the kind from the sky.
This has been another episode of
The
Wandering
Wandering
Crow. Damn it, Cameron.